Okay, so we're about to dive into a story that starts as a modern archaeological puzzle, but it very quickly spirals back in time, revealing the secret, incredibly moving ritual of grief and resistance on a pre-Civil War sugar plantation. We're going to uncover a discovery that connects our world today directly to the hidden lives of the enslaved. So get this. In the 21st century, researchers are working across 7 different former plantation sites in Louisiana, and they all stumble upon the exact same thing. Buried right there beneath the dirt floors of the old slave cabins, they find these weathered wooden boxes, and inside each one, an identical haunting object. Now, state officials sealed the sites almost immediately, citing cultural sensitivity. You have to ask, right? What on earth did they find that was so sensitive it had to be sealed off from the public? And more importantly, what could it possibly tell us about the hidden world of the people who were forced to live and die on these lands? Well, before everything was shut down, one field researcher managed to jot down what he saw in a private journal. He called them transfers de memoria, which basically means memory braids. Inside every single box was a carefully preserved braid of human hair, wrapped in simple cloth and tied with this thread the color of dried blood. To really understand what these meant, we have to go all the way back to where the story actually began. So let's travel back. The year is 1853, August to be exact. We're at the Belle Rive Sugar Plantation in Louisiana. This is where it all kicks off. The plantation has a brand new overseer, a guy named Thomas Girard. And he is ambitious. He's detail-oriented, and he's about to stumble onto a secret that's been kept for decades. So Girard is doing his first inspection of the slave quarters, and something just catches his eye. Near one of the cabins, there's a shallow depression in the ground. The soil looks loose. It's darker than all the packed earth around it. He knows, instantly, someone's been digging here, and he is determined to find out why. So Girard, being the guy he is, grabs a shovel and just starts digging himself. And sure enough, about 3 feet down, thunk. His shovel hits something solid. He clears away the rest of the dirt and reveals this simple wooden box, about the size of a big book. He pries it open, and there it is, the first braid, dark, thick, and so carefully wrapped. His suspicion has just led him to a discovery he could never have imagined. And this wasn't just a one-off thing. Oh no. Girard orders his men to check the other cabins, and over the next couple of days, they find 6 more identical boxes, each one buried in the exact same spot, at the exact same depth, holding the exact same thing. This wasn't random. This was a system, a ritual. And Girard, who is now deeply unsettled, realizes he needs answers. And to get those answers, he summons an elderly woman named Ara. Now, Ara is one of the oldest residents of Belle Rive. She's a woman who has seen decades of life and loss on that plantation. Girard lays the 7 braids out on his table and basically asks her to tell him the truth. And this is a moment where the whole mystery just unravels into tragedy. Akara looks at the braids, and she gives him this devastatingly simple explanation. These aren't just objects, they're memorials. They are the last physical pieces of children who were lost. Ara explains the whole ritual. When a child died, or more often, was sold away from their mother, she would secretly cut a lock of their hair. She would braid it, preserve it, and then bury it in the ground right where that child last lived. It was a way to anchor their memory to the land, a way to hold on when absolutely everything had been taken from them. Hearing this, Girard realizes he's stumbled onto something so much bigger than he thought. This wasn't just about 7 braids. This was about a whole history of systematic loss. And to understand the true scope of this grief, he turns to the one place that recorded the plantation's cold, hard facts, the official ledgers. And the numbers he finds in those ledgers are just staggering. Since 1809, 94 children born to enslaved mothers at Belle Rive had either died young or been sold away. 94. That's 94 instances of a mother's loss, and every single one of them a potential reason for another one of those buried boxes. Aura's words just capture the heart of it all. In a system that denied them the right to grieve openly, to have funerals, or even to keep their own families together, this was their quiet act of defiance. They literally created their own sacred, secret space for their sorrow. But Girard doesn't expose the practice. In a surprising turn, he orders the boxes reburied. And then he starts to secretly document everything he observes. And this quiet observation soon turns into an active project when a new person arrives at Belle Reve, sparking one of history's most unlikely alliances. A young man named Caleb is brought to the plantation. And Caleb is rare. He's incredibly rare because he can read and write. He soon discovers Gerard's secret journal. But instead of using it against him, he does something incredible. He proposes they work together. Caleb sees the immense value in creating a proper, detailed record of these burials. And this just shows you the two worlds they were trying to bridge. On one side, you have the official plantation ledgers. They saw these children as property, and their loss was just an economic calculation. But on the other side, this memory ledger that Gerard and Caleb were creating, it did the exact opposite. It recorded names, not numbers. It documented human stories, not financial losses. Then, in 1856, the owner starts thinking about selling Belle Reve. This sends a shockwave of fear through the entire community, because a sale would mean families being permanently torn apart. For Gerard and Caleb, it meant their secret ledger, their whole project, could be lost forever. So they do the only thing they can think of to protect it. They bury it. Just like the memory braids, their ledger is entrusted to the earth. And for over 150 years, through the utter chaos of the Civil War and all the generations that followed, it stayed hidden, just waiting. Waiting for the right person to come along and unearth its incredible story. The ledger's journey is just a story in itself. Caleb and Gerard actually managed to retrieve it during the chaos of the Civil War. Caleb, now a free man, protected that book for the rest of his life. He eventually passed it down to his daughter, and it was preserved, passed down like a precious family heirloom for over a century, until 2011, when it finally landed in the hands of his great-great-granddaughter, a historian named Dr. Elaine Carter. And this right here is where the whole story comes full circle. Dr. Carter used the ledger, which had detailed entries for 47 different burials, as a map. She partnered with archaeologists, and it was her research that led to those modern excavations we talked about at the beginning. Guided by the names and locations in this 150-year-old book, her team ultimately unearthed 32 of the memory braids. Dr. Carter's work created this undeniable, tangible connection. It linked the written record, the names and stories captured by an overseer and an enslaved man, to the actual physical proof of love and loss buried just 3 feet under the ground. It was the ultimate validation of a history that was never, ever meant to survive. And this just leaves us with a final, really vital question. The story of the memory braids was preserved by a series of unlikely events and incredibly dedicated people. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other acts of remembrance, of resistance, of love are still buried out there, just waiting for someone to finally listen to the whispers from the ground?